Mr. Tom, Mr. Tom, Mr. Tom.
Matt, how you been? It feels like forever, man.
Oh my God, we did take quite the
We
quite the sabbatical
it
here,
was
didn't
a it
we?
was a hiatus and a half.
Yes, I concur. We listen. We got after it in the summer. On the flip side, I think we both kind of did a bunch this summer.
And then I was actually, this is the first time I'm like, oh, school's starting, things will slow down.
Yeah,
Is what
what
I
kind of
thought.
delusion?
It was like,
What
what am I
what kind
drunk?
of what kind of trendy psychedelic are you on that
It
that
wasn't
you
it wasn't the right one apparently.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, it's funny. I think we suffered from the same thing over here. Like, I just looked up and it was like August, and I'm like, oh man, the summer's almost over. I got to like cram it all in. And then I was like, oh, this has got to be less crazy in September. Meanwhile, like, what the hell was I thinking? Like,
We'll
school was
have
starting.
routines, we'll
Yeah,
have
yeah. Oh
schedules,
man,
and it's
man.
like, wait, how many things are the kids doing after school?
Oh my God. Are your kids doing like 15 things like
I
each?
you know, like we haven't even gotten into full swing yet. Band instruments start next month. Yeah,
Oh, got
so
it.
like just between like soccer and volleyball, there's like my Sunday dance card's full just with like practices and
Oh
games,
yeah,
and then
totally.
and then they practice 2 times a week. So
Yeah, my son is on a new club team, and my daughter's on two teams, like her
yeah,
travel team and her school team. So between those three, I'm pretty much soccer all weekend myself.
yeah, it's kind of nuts. I wish that somehow they can magically coordinate the different leagues. So if your kid's on one thing, they're all playing
Oh
home or away at
yeah,
the same
no,
place, and that's a pipe
that never
dream.
happens. That never happens. So what are you getting into? Like what's new over there?
So man, like trying to establish the routine that I had
Mm.
before. I started picking up some cool toys. I had a friend that kind of reignited my interest in heart math, which
Mm. Oh
looks
yeah,
at
it's
your
been a
heart
while.
rate coherence and
Yeah,
heart.
yeah.
So I just finished the training for healthcare professionals,
Oh, interesting. They have a program.
and
That doesn't surprise me.
but it's so funny because it's not at the level of biofeedback, right? It is biofeedback, but they're not calling it that, right? So
Do they
the
get in
breathing
trouble or
tech.
something if they call it that?
I don't think there's a trademark around it. I just think they're realizing that the markers they're looking at are heart rate variability. And their
Okay.
breathing techniques, they teach you about six, and they're all based off of like focus on your heart, inhale for 5 seconds, exhale for 5 seconds, and they all build. And they're
Oh,
super easy to teach. They're not so far out there that people start to go, oh, this is Hinduism or mysticism or something like that. They're scientifically based, and you can do them with or without this little clip on your ear. So you teach them
wow.
to somebody, and then you send them home, and anytime they start feeling a little anxious, depressed, or anything like that, they can do any of these techniques.
Oh, interesting. So that's
Yeah.
cool. So are you going to offer that as a service or what?
I think I've told you I've been kicking around the idea of opening a second location,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I'm
Yeah.
starting to put, I'm not making, I'm not, signing leases yet, but I'm starting to make a little headway into like what will that look like, and I think we
Mm,
have a center that does so much to the physical body that helps the psycho emotional body, but
sure.
now can we approach it from the psycho emotional side and affect the physical? So a lot of those services that I'm looking at are, I've had like this like obsession with float tanks,
Oh, yeah.
and I would love to bring that closer to Baltimore. There's some great places that, if I'm willing to take a 45-minute ride, I can go to some really nice ones. But
Mm,
much like the cryo, I'm sure like, oh, I'm going to be in this every day, and then you get busy.
yeah. Then you get busy. Yeah. I mean, directly behind me are two red light panels that I
Yeah,
just jumped into the other day for the first time in a while.
yeah, yeah.
And I was like, why don't I do this every day? It's literally
I
feet
own
behind
it.
me. Like literally in the same room that I spend all my life in. It's crazy. Yeah.
Cryo
I
is
mean,
even
you're
worse,
right though.
man.
You
It's
get
three
busy.
minutes. I walk by it when I leave the office.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Totally. Yeah, 100%. You're like, I could get this all day. And I got an infrared sauna, like we've talked about. And it's same thing. I just don't have the time to do all
To
these things all
dedicate.
the time. And it's a stupid, lame excuse. I'll be honest with you. I mean, it is a dumb excuse. I mean, I
Oh
walk
yeah,
by that
definitely,
somewhere.
definitely.
Yeah,
But
right.
like it's what I've always found is like when I'm under stress and I need those things that keep me in routine more,
Right.
that's the first thing to go.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
you know.
And you know what I will say though, like I mean, we're over a year now that I've been doing, a dedicated morning
Yeah, yeah.
practice, and it doesn't involve red light therapy, obviously. But I will tell you, there is a noticeable difference in my stress resiliency
Yeah.
when you have a rejuvenating morning thing.
Morning, yeah.
Like I've got some qigong stuff now I threw in because it's my kids are leaving earlier now, so now I do like a lap or two around the neighborhood in the
Oh,
morning,
that's
drink a
great.
cup of coffee. You know what I mean? Like, and and some days I do strength training. Sometimes I just meditate, but every day I meditate. So it's like, so every morning I get like a no work, no stress, no nothing, just kind of like wake
Yeah.
up, percolate, you know. And I'll tell you, man, like problems definitely get less intense when you have like a regular thing going on like that.
You know what's crazy? I read this, and it wasn't a heavy scientific article. It was kind of more of a like a they polled American men and women, and they were saying how long does somebody spend in the bathroom, and they found that 90 or 60% of men spend more than 20 minutes at least once a day in the bathroom. Morning
Okay,
constitution, whatever you want to call it.
sure.
And women, 90% of women spend less than 10 minutes in the bathroom actually using the facilities. I'm not talking about getting ready to go out or
Yeah,
showering.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And when they asked men why, they gave a laundry list of like, look, I'm watching Netflix on my phone, I'm reading an article, I'm reading a book, I'm doing. But what it came down to is the underlying thing was that was their like fortress of solitude, to put it,
Mm,
the best way. That was the one place that they had carved out where like more than likely, yeah, like if my kids come into the bathroom, they're like, oh god, dad, I didn't know you were, so it's like I don't have to be like, get out, leave me alone for 5 minutes. It's
right.
yeah, and I feel like
That's
in a lot
interesting.
of ways that becomes somebody's routine for that not, I don't want to say escapism, but for that break, you know.
No, that's actually interesting. Yeah, I mean that totally makes sense. I mean, if you don't have a dedicated time of the day to do it, I
Yeah.
think your body does crave that sort of,
Well, look, I just
you
I
know,
just need some time where
yeah,
people aren't talking at me, where I'm going to be left alone, and if I'm daydreaming, I'm not going to get run off the road. And
yeah,
you
100%.
know, if I want to send a buddy a stupid Instagram post, oh here, that's when I do it.
Yeah, for sure. No, that makes complete sense. It's funny because I don't know if you did this on purpose, but that's kind of a good
I
segue
was teeing
into.
stuff up, man. I
Yeah,
was.
you're taking. Look at you.
We
Yeah,
were like 30 something of these in.
yeah, yeah. Right. No, fair, fair. So, so the other day I was reading something. I don't know. Somebody in my house
I think you said
was
Sarah
was
sent it over to you.
yeah, yeah. It was Sarah sent it over to me, and I was like, no, no, no. She was looking at something. That's what it was. She was looking at something, and I overheard it. And I was like, all right, let me fact check this. And sure as shit, the thing I overheard was that Americans smile more than any other country, and to the point where people actually think we're nuts. And we're going to get into that a little bit today, but we absolutely apparently smile like nobody's business, and it is stems from the fact that we are primarily immigrants and we don't share a common language. So body language is the commonality. And when I heard that, my brain just like exploded with like all the different ways you could kind of talk about this. And
Yeah.
so I just thought so that was how we got here. So like, what do you think about this? Like, I mean, it was a cool little factoid.
It's such a brilliant sociological kind of observation, isn't it? Right? Because like we don't have, yeah, as you said, a common ancestry, a common language. You know, we don't all look the same. There's not a real homogeneous population, and we're all coming with, you know, different ideologies. So that one thing where it's like, how do we show people that, like, look, one, we're friendly, two, you know, we understand what you're saying, and to let you know, oh yeah, we're both humans, you know, like, yeah,
Right.
we got each other.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And holding someone's hand, hugging somebody, kissing them, looking at them with disdain, like these are all universal, right? Like
They are. But even
like,
then, there's social acceptability there. You know, like you can't kiss somebody in India in public. That's frowned upon. You
well,
know,
sure, yeah. So
you
that's
know,
what I'm saying. Yeah, right, exactly. And so this I read we found a couple different places that talked about this, but I think there's a really good article, I think, in the Atlantic, and it was
yeah,
from a while ago. Actually, I don't recall. It was from 2017, actually. So this is
yeah,
not like new information,
new,
but
yeah,
um, but they started out with a funny joke, and it's like, and I kind of
from
went down
Reddit.
yeah, 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 from Reddit, right? And they said when a Reddit user in Finland was asked, it says, when you see a stranger who smiles at you, you first assume he's drunk, then you say he's insane, and then you think he's an American.
And
And I'm like,
honestly, if he's an American, it might be all three.
it might be a little bit of all. But the study that they were talking about was fascinating because they actually went through and studied all these countries that went back to like the 1500s, right? And
Yeah,
they basically said which countries have the most amount of source countries represented in them. And if they said when you looked at things like mainland China, it was like, I got the impression it was single digit representation, like low
yeah,
single digits, like a couple. And when it came to America, though, in Canada, it was like tens of tens, like 60,
yeah.
70, 80, something like that. Right?
80 something countries
Yeah,
were
right. It was
represented.
a ton
Yeah,
of them, right? And so I kind of was thinking to myself, I'm like, all right, well, like what an interesting thing to start studying, right? So now I'm like, all right, well, and you keep going, and they basically found out that, where they deduced that it was because of the diversity, and because going back to, yeah, I mean, this study went back to the 1500s. So you imagine the United States in 1650.
you
If
got
you
you
didn't
got
speak the
Dutch
language,
and you got
yeah,
English.
yeah, well, yeah, but if you didn't speak English,
and a bunch of a bunch of indigenous peoples that were being forced out of it. But all right,
yeah.
anyway.
But if you didn't speak English, right? Yeah, if you didn't speak English and you walked down the street and you just showed up here and you got to go to the grocery store, like you're just, I mean, there's no internet, there's no Google Translate. I mean,
Yeah,
like, you're fucked. But then it's interesting to me that what that led to is
Mhm.
people actually smiling because like just because you use body cues doesn't necessarily mean you would end up doing anything. But
yeah,
as it turns out, we smile a lot more, like not just casually a lot.
yeah,
um, and they started talking about like all the things that we like as a result of that come out of it, right? Like I think one of the ones was basically using, and in some perceptions from other people in other countries, over ignoring formalities of addressing one another, like sir, madam,
yeah,
or Mr. Hampton, or even to your boss's boss, you'd be like, yo, Bill, what up? Like it would be
yeah.
like, you don't go
We're
in and say, oh,
familial.
Mr. Yeah, right. And the idea of being in business and calling someone Mr. Hampton, Mr. Smith, like I'm like, no, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. It's such a weird thing that I think, and I think that's probably decreased as time has gone on. Right, we would lose the things from maybe our immigrant roots and kind of meld into like, look, we now need more nonverbal clues. We need to be more in an attempt to connect to each other, I guess, is
right,
what I'm
right.
trying to say there.
Yeah, and it's funny because if you look at where we're at now with, just everybody like hating on everybody, right?
Yeah.
Like seems like kind of funny that we've sort of snapped back really crazily in the opposite direction, right?
Hmm.
Like I don't I mean I in my life, and that's certainly very limited, I have never seen people hate each other as much as they do
To
right
this degree, which is
now. Yeah,
so
like
funny because like growing up, I mean, I don't know where like how like your parents raised you, but it was like don't talk about sex, religion, or politics.
right, right.
And now I'm like, fuck that guy. I'm
Yeah.
like
No, yeah. 100%. Um, they, they, God, and it was, this is one of those topics, by the way, that if you actually start getting enthusiastic about it,
yeah.
it can go down like 50 different rabbit holes.
Oh,
I got myself
it's so bizarre.
sucked into, like, one of the other things that they talked about was politicians
Yeah.
in the US, right? And they were saying that they smile differently, like wider, actually physically wider.
They're forcing themselves to do it.
Correct. Right. Um, yeah, I mean, don't you find that fascinating? Like we are so obsessed with it that we're faking it.
So, but like all of them have like coaches, right? Here's how you hold your hands when you're saying this. Here's the expression you want to make. Here's the words you want to, because they're trying to convey these nonverbal cues. One of the parts of that article that I thought was so funny was like when American chains would go to another country, right? They talk about like in the 90s with McDonald's going to Russia.
Oh my God. Yeah. Didn't we totally messed up. We should have completely found that video. What was it?
We were looking for that, right? So it was a Russian McDonald's training video from the 90s, right? So they were giving instructions on how the greeter, how the person at the cash register was supposed to smile. And like these Russians are like, they're getting fucking food. Why are they smiling? It's like,
yeah, right. Well, it was what was it? The Walmart in what was it? Germany,
yes.
They had to like pull out because like the people were being forced to do things that socially in Germany was like completely out of bounds.
And this is not like having to work to death for starvation wages. It's literally like you gotta smile and say hi to people. You gotta stand
Correct.
Here and do that.
Like you're not. It's like, what are you fucking crazy? I'm not gonna smile.
Am I drunk? Are you gonna give me? Are you gonna give me alcohol to do that?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean it's crazy, but like. Think of it. So there was actually a video that they had to make just to I just realized we didn't really tell anybody what that was about, right? But we found out there was a video that McDonald's had to make, like a training video to show people how to feign excitement and facial.
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, say what now? like you just, the politic thing was interesting because I find it funny. And the other part about the politicians thing is that in countries where the younger generations have a high value associated with being happy, that the politicians in that country also sort of consummately smile
yeah,
political ads. And so they compared all these college kids from various countries to their respective leaders. And there was like a really tight corollary between like how subjectively rated at, how happy they were,
yeah,
excited they were. And there's just this crazy line. So even at our highest level, like there's like this resonance with what the population wants to see with respect to your smile. Yeah. And they reflect it in their political ads, which is, I don't know if it's savvy like you, or is it just they're doing it unconsciously? Like, I don't, are we just really want to be happy? And so when we're not,
we're faking it until we make it kind of thing.
I don't know. Yeah.
It's such a, like, because even that study, like I'm looking at, like when they were looking at the 10 countries, the legislators, they said, interestingly, the amount of people in those countries that actually felt happy didn't matter but their leader's excitement appeared to reflect the ideal emotional states of the constituents. Right,
But
so
isn't that weird? Like, okay,
they
this
may
is
not
how
be
pissed
happy,
off-
but they want to be happy.
Yeah, this is how happy you think I should be. You know,
Yeah, you got it. Reminds me of that Black Hole Sun video from Soundgarden back in it's like how fucking creepy was that? You know?
Oh, that was I don't like. What was that? Right?
Like right that was like when they had those weird face filters before they even had iPhones. You know, like all these
what the
giant
hell was
mouths
that?
and giant eyes, and
Yeah. I mean, you know, we lie to each other all the time. Right?
Yeah.
Like, and lying is. We can have a whole nother topic on lying. I find lying to be fascinating because we as a culture tell all of our kids all through grammar school into, college, like, don't lie, it's bad.
Yeah.
And the absolute moment you become an adult in the real world, all you do is lie.
And you know, that's the crazy thing. Like even like making eye contact, right? Like other countries don't do that. You know, that's like, wait, when you looking somebody in the eyes, like, why are you looking at me? You know, I that's so crazy to me.
No, it is, but it's like, yeah. And so anyway, we have this history of like pounding things into our brains that don't need to be there. Like, like, don't lie, but now to do your job at pretty much any corporation in America, all you're going to actually do is lie all day. Like, that's what you're going to do.
We're
not going to tell you that ahead of time. Like, and the same thing with the smiling. You're not happy. We know you're not.
That's like when you're put on hold and they're like, your call is important to us. No, it's not.
No, it's absolutely not. And the only thing worse than me sitting on hold is you telling me that when I know deep down you do not.
And then when they finally pick up, thank you for your patience. Yeah, I don't want to give you my patience. I've got no choice here. Like
I have no choice. Or my favorite is when they like all these the newest trend in customer service is that when they get on and they're like, so from my understanding of your problem, and then they repeat everything you just said for the last 5 minutes. I'm like, oh.
Even that you see that with tech support. Okay, look, it's plugged in. I restarted it 4 times. Just like let's jump 8 pages in.
Yeah, I start there, and I think you definitely throw them off doing that because they can't paginate through that. They're like, crap, what page does this pick up on?
Just you keep reading. Jump in when you get to where I'm at.
Yeah, right, exactly. I'll wait. Thank you. But I had the other day, I almost like went through the roof because I had it failed to recognize my credit card number like several times.
Oh God!
And it finally recognized it, and then same thing happened with like the pin. It was like I don't know what happened. It was like either my cell phone wasn't pressing the buttons right or it wasn't reading them right. Anyway, I finally get through this. It took a couple minutes to actually get it to work. An operator came on and was like, hey, can you read me back your 17-digit credit card number? I'm like, you fucking pain in my ass. Like I just spent, all this time trying to get it. And then I put my wallet away thinking like, I'm good. I'm verified. We're in like, and like, I had to like, basically, I was at that point, I was now in the car driving and it's on Bluetooth. So I'm like, literally
now you're going to make me pull over and
I was like, oh, but yeah, there is an interesting graph in that article that had like, it plotted countries on a chart, and we basically were in the top quadrant where like our society values happiness at a degree of like hyper happy, and all of our political photos reflect that because like they are all hyper happy. Now I would be interested to know how they actually like rated that, right? Like how do you say like this guy looks smile
didn't they have like one photo where they had like they were like marking different aspects, like the eyebrows are up, they got crow's feet, their lips are curled up, all of that to like show you how, the teeth are being shown. So crazy, man. It is such, we talked like, I think briefly once or twice about like toxic positivity. And I'm wondering if that's, just, the logical extension of forcing ourselves to smile all the time.
Well, I mean, you see that a lot now. I mean, Facebook is essentially just
Like every social media platform is just highlight reels.
Yeah, no, but it's highlight reels obviously focused myopically on this faux happiness situation, right? Like, so, I mean, nobody's that happy that long ever.
Well, even when they go like, "This is the real me," and they post like a crying photo, it's like, "Oh, you're pretty crying." No.
Yeah.
No. Like,
yeah. Right. Is that eyeliner?
I would like to see you hunched over a curb, just dead.
Yeah.
With pure raw suffering, just to show me that you've been to the depths I've been to.
Yeah. Did you put blush on for this crying video? Are you wearing makeup and powder? Like what?
You did your hair.
Yeah. Totally. Right.
Completely raw emotion.
Yeah, completely raw emotion.
Can I see the 300 photos you didn't post?
Yeah. Well, what's funny too is, I mean, we all have these things, but like, the taking the first day of school picture this year, my son is like now too cool for this. And I said, I'm like, look, dude, this is not optional, brother. I've got 12 of these or whatever already.
Yeah.
And you're in it for the haul now, and if you keep pissing me off, I'm following you to college and I'm going to do it again up there.
Do it there.
Just simmer down there, buddy. So it was all pain in the ass, like push and shove. And then finally I take 58 pictures. One of them is him accidentally smiling. And I'm like, this is the one I'm using. And I will remember that for a very more amount of time. But 20 years from now, when I see a picture, I'm just going to see this beaming smile. Be like, oh, look at that.
Yeah.
I have no recollection of it, but it's funny because, like you said, right under the surface, there's 58 videos I'm not showing.
Yeah. I saw one of the best first day of school photos where it was twins. And one of the boys is holding the sign up, first day of school, super excited. And the other kid is like clearly just like, fuck this. He's got the sign held up and it says, I hate school. And the only way I would pose for this photo is if I had a sign that said, I hate school.
That's so funny.
And I was like,
that kid's really
got
funny.
It.
Wow.
That's pure emotion there. You're not getting that, like an 8-year-old is not going to mask that.
No, absolutely. I mean, I do think it's funny. I actually don't really, I go into Facebook anymore just really for saying happy birthday to people.
Yeah.
I've been doing that for a long time and that's it. And occasionally I'll get like 3 or 4 posts in before I'm like, I gotta stop.
Yeah, I'm done.
Stop. Yeah, I got it, because like as soon as you're like, you get past that, it's just downhill. Like it just, you are training wheels off. You are heading down the hill.
I'm just like, is this where we all have our breakdown now? This is where you show people the cheese has slipped off the cracker.
Yeah. Totally. So this topic kind of kept going. I think, right? We said, well, what else?
What other weird shit do Americans do?
So I got to tell you, when I was looking at those things, I know all of them, obviously, once I was told, right. But like when you add them all up summarily, like I can't tell if we're just douchebags or if it's actually, or we're more evolved, because a lot of these things, I felt like they were pretty like beneficial.
Well, some of them, I think, I get that. I also think some older cultures, like I keep coming back to this theory that like in our lifetime, the period that we're alive right now, we're in kind of like this weird, awkward, that preteen to teen stage. As America, right? We've been around a couple 100 years, and like we're fucking going wild. Our hormones are coming in. We're not sure what's going on. Half of our body's telling us one thing, the other one's going in another direction. And I think we're seeing that politically. I think we're seeing that just in the country itself. And other countries are like, look, we did that. it was the 1400s when we did that, but like,
Yeah.
and some of these things on this list, I mean, they say like tipping 20% regardless,
Sure.
I was like, well, if we paid servers the way they do in Europe, then we wouldn't have to tip them. That one's almost like a socioeconomic thing where it's like, look, if you weren't giving them a check that would come back void because they're getting like, $2 and something because they're expecting 20% in tips or something,
Right.
like maybe they would, maybe they wouldn't need to get tipped. Maybe the service would be better.
Yeah, but I look at it the other way too. Like it drives me. I was a waiter for a long, long
Yeah,
time,
yeah.
and it drives me crazy going into a restaurant and getting shitty service because I'm like, dude, I know how hard it can be to be
Yeah.
a waiter, but I also know how much money you could make being a waiter as a.
And being a happy one, which you probably fake smiled the entire time.
I fake smiled the shit out of that job, right? But here's the thing, it wasn't really a fake smile. I was like, I think I got my first waiter gig when I was like 15 or 16, and I did that through college. Right.
Yeah.
Like, and so like I was just, I had nothing to do. Like I went to school, I drew a lot, I listened to a lot of hair bands, and I fucking was a waiter.
Hair bands, huh?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like that was like my entire world. Like, and I'd go out with the people from the restaurants that I worked at.
Yeah.
I don't know. I had girlfriends from that just kind of became part of my life, right? And I made a ton of money doing it when I was that age. Now I don't remember monetarily what it was, but I do remember like never having money problems when I was in high school or college because you just get paid in cash, and
You always had it, yeah.
You always had it, so it was great. But I mean, yeah, I look at it that way and say, hey, if I don't tip 20%, this person stops working here or is less happy. And I like coming here.
Yeah, they go home and suffer. Yeah.
Right. And I like coming here. So I would like to continue to come here and have somebody who's pleasant take care of me while I'm here. So like, I feel like I by going out to dinner, I enter into a symbiotic relationship with the wait staff, right? Like that's kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah,
right? Like,
we're in this together, man.
Yeah, like exactly. Like, like, look, if you fill up my water glass and keep bringing me glasses of wine when I need them, like, we're going to get along just fine. Like,
yeah,
and make sure, you cook my food in something that resembles accurately. Like, like I'm not too fussy, but so like that was one of them. But like, and we talked about, some of the social abnormalities, let's put it, when you talk about Americans on a global stage. But one that I found kind of really like sort of, I think summarizes the US really well in my place was this free refills and too much ice.
Yeah.
So what I found interesting about that is that the ice thing came from a luxury, right? Like it was a luxury to have ice.
Yeah.
And so people who had ice were either wealthy or it was a super treat, right? Like it was like that. Those were the only two ways you had ice, in a soda. And so in our zeal to just fake it, we just started putting ice in drinks, right? And now, like when I go down to Costa Rica, for example, like they don't put ice in anything.
Yeah.
Like you have to ask for it. There's not, at the touristy hotels, they assume, they will. But if you go to like a local bar or a local food place, like you ask for a glass of water, it's a glass with water in it. That's it. Like there's nothing.
You know what? But that's, honestly from, and then I'm going to relate this to Chinese medicine a little bit, right? They'll refer to the stomach as the 100-degree soup, right? 98.6, right? So we don't want to drop that stomach temperature too much because that's where all the enzymatic activity happens. That's where we get all the chemical digestion going. You dump cold on that, you slow that and those enzymes down, right? You slow the bacteria down that are in the GI. Yeah,
Well, that is interesting. I did not know that actually. I mean, I know that if you are looking to hydrate faster, drinking warmer water actually will get get into you a little faster. That's why a lot of times at marathons and stuff.
Yeah. My
Like-
mentor would have us drinking hot tea, training outside for 3 hours in like martial arts.
Oh, okay.
And
Interesting.
it sounded so insane. And like you're already sweating, you drink the tea, what happens? You sweat a ton more, right? So you're getting, your body's doing what it's supposed to be doing.
Sure. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
If you drop that cold into your system, your core is cold, but you should still be sweating.
Sure.
But like now you're like, they would almost say, and I doubt this is scientifically accurate, but they would say, oh, you're trapping the heat in the exterior. You know, you're not allowing it to release
I
out.
can see that though. I mean, that kind of makes sense, right?
Yeah, like on that edge where the cold meets the hot, you're not getting this exchange of heat as well.
Yeah, and got it. Well, I think that it is interesting because when we have America does marketing really well, right? Like
they do.
We're good at marketing, right? And as it's been said many different ways, everything is marketing, right? And so if you are a restaurant and you say, "Hey, come get your sodas from us because we're going to give it to you in a nice big glass of ice," and if ice is considered a luxury, now everyone's like, "Ooh, I get to get some ice." Now, fast forward, all the meaning of ice as a luxury is completely gone. Like we don't view ice as a luxury. Fuck, I got like 4 ice makers in my house. Every refrigerator now has a freaking ice maker. You know, like and so if that's the case, like why the frack are we still doing it, right? And it's because like the duck pose you see on Instagram, like and the people will be like tilted with their shoulder and they got all these concocted, obviously fake looking stances.
Yes.
I've been a photographer for 30 years, right? And I could tell you there are a very short list of things that make humans look better in photos.
Mm-hmm.
And all of those things they do are those things, except it was like making a photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy.
The quality goes down.
They got the wrong fucking message. And now that duck lip, shoulder drop, extreme twist with the knee kind of triangled over the other one like that, it looks like a circus act compared to what it would be if you went and got a professional portrait taken. And they, you ever got a family portrait and the photographer comes up and they're just like, they move your head this way.
Your head just an inch,
Just like, yeah. I mean, they're just little tiny taps. And like, that is not what they're doing. They're like, oh, yeah, I'm supposed to turn like this.
Wrenching it around.
And then they go like this. They're like, does this work?
This full profile.
Yeah, right. You're like, no, dum-dum. That's not what, who told you this? Like, so now,
but we see with plastic surgery too, to mention the duck lips, it's like a little bit of filler, plump it up. Oh, that looks good. It's natural. It looks like you're slightly, and now it's like, how do you talk?
Yeah. I don't know how you talk.
How are you talking? That is comically big.
Yeah. And moreover, like, I mean, what's the pathology there where you don't see that? Right. Like,
it's gotta be body dysmorphia. It just, it could just be focused on one part of your body. Like this isn't right. If I fix this, I mean, you see those extreme plastic surgeries.
Oh, I know. Those shows are fucking crazy, huh, man? Like, I mean, that shit is scary. I mean, I think we watched one a couple months back for like 10 minutes and it was this woman who had, I mean, her breasts were, I mean, you almost needed like a small wheelbarrow to move them around. Like, I mean, I'm telling you, they were just absolutely massive. Yeah. And the doctor refused to go up any higher. And she was like insisting. And I think she was trying to find somebody who was going to make them even bigger. And I was like, good Lord. Like, I mean, like as it was, like I would be extremely surprised if she could sit upright for more than an hour.
Well, and then what happens 20, 30, 40 years down the line? Is she regretting that? Is she living with like a curved spine?
It was crazy.
I get wanting to be the ideal image of you. But
No, yeah,
like,
no, I know.
yeah,
I
you
don't
know,
have any
like
problems. Yeah, no.
if
I mean,
somebody if
even the
somebody's
people that
like,
go
I
crazy.
want to look like somebody else, that's a little weird.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even care. I mean, the people that go crazy, I'm not even judging them. What I am
Yeah.
curious about though is when you say, "Hey, man, your boobs are about, I don't know, 25 sizes bigger than any boob that's ever existed
Hmm.
naturally ever." Like, what are you seeing that I am not? Like, that's what I would be most curious about. Like, what are you seeing that I
Yeah,
absolutely am
like
not
how
seeing?
much is too much there? You know,
Yeah.
it's like you saw like a, oh, that's a good size, and then just kept going.
Oh yeah, totally. Um, the other one that I thought was pretty distinctly American was the culture of convenience, right? Like,
Oh
so
God.
so this one is like super American, right? And unfortunately, but not unpredictably, the rest of the world's kind of jumping right on the same train now. And
I have to say, man, when I moved to Baltimore, like my wife and I came down a couple of times, checked the place out. I remember getting up and walking around in downtown Baltimore and not being able to find a coffee shop open on a Sunday morning.
mm,
And I was like, mother, like I can get coffee at 4 a.m. in the suburbs in New York.
oh yeah,
You know, like what?
yeah,
Why?
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
downtown.
yeah, yeah. I'm
Like
in the city. Like, what in the
it
world?
is 9 a.m. Coffee shops should be open at 5.
Oh yeah. Well, we walked out last night to get some food. It was 10 o'clock at night, and we went to a place, and they're like, "No, of course we're closed. It's 10 o'clock at night on a
Kitchen
Wednesday night."
closes at 8,
And
man.
I was like, and my first reaction was like, "The fuck are you talking about? Like, this is a restaurant. It's only 10 o'clock. What are you? What? Like?" And then we went to the second place. They're like, we'll seat you," and we're like, "Oh yeah." She's like, "But you'll be the last table." I'm like, "We don't want to do that." She's like, "No, it's absolutely fine." And we ended up eating there, but we're like, "What's the fastest thing you can make so that we're not too much of a pain in the ass?" And she's like, "Pasta, anything pasta." It's like, "Eat, done. Give me this." We ordered right there.
Yeah.
Literally about 4 minutes later, it was on the. We sat at the bar, and it was like on the bar.
Gone. Yeah.
But like, I thought it was really weird that I had to like question. Not only could I, not only was it not a foregone conclusion that I was going to eat at that time, but
Yeah.
but like quite literally, they could have charged me anything they wanted for that meal, and I would have paid for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, because I'm
and,
like,
and,
no.
and I guarantee you, us just having this conversation makes other countries think we're nuts.
Oh, absolutely.
Because like I got to tell you, is it go half a mile down to the grocery store, or Go Puff, something. It's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh, Go Puff has it, I'll get it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll give the delivery driver $5. Oh yeah, I'll pay $2 more for this item. I'm in the whole $7.
So that's what they said is unique about us is that we're willing to pay for convenience,
for the
and we don't give
time is money exchange. Yeah.
We do not give a shit.
And look, it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. But here's the thing: like yesterday, I sold a telescope, right? That I don't use anymore.
Oh, you finally sold that one? Okay.
Yeah, I sold it. Yeah, it's this guy in Texas, great guy, putting together a planetary rig, and he just wanted he wanted a telescope that he would only shoot on for planets.
Okay.
And I was like, cool, that's great, fantastic. I boxed it up, get it all ready, and he goes, how are you going to ship it? I've got a FedEx number. Do you want me to just give you my FedEx number? I said, all right, that's great. And then the first thing I said was, fuck, now I got to go find the FedEx store is 20 minutes.
You got to go all the way. Yeah.
I was like, I'm like, oh, so I got even to print this label, I got to go all the way to the store. And in my head, I'm like, now I ship things never. Okay. So now, like ever, never, ever. And so then I was like, oh, well, I'm pretty sure I could do a FedEx.com label, but I didn't know if I could do it with his
number,
his number, account, because I didn't have his FedEx account login, and I knew it wasn't going to give me that. So, like I said, I just don't ship, right? So I didn't know. So I go there, found out that I could, and then the very next thought I have is, fuck, I still got to go out there and drop this damn thing off because it's a telescope, so it's fucking huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I was like going through this like 85 field form that FedEx makes you fill out to ship something. And one of them was like, would you like it to be picked up at your house? And I was like, holy fucking shit. Yes.
Absolutely,
yeah,
I would.
Yeah. And I'm sitting there like, I wonder how much more it's going to cost. And then the next thought I had was, doesn't matter what it costs. I don't have time to drive.
Get it the hell out of here. Yeah.
They're like, it's free. I'm like, oh my God. So now not only is this convenient, but it didn't cost me shit.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, okay, great. Well, I'm now in my head, I'm like, I've solved this problem forever. I'm never going to go to a fucking FedEx store or UPS store ever again. They're just going to come to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that, man. You know how upset I've been since COVID. Like every once in a while you get something on Amazon. It's like, I'm a Prime member. Why are you telling me this won't be here in 2 days?
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Like, what do you mean? It's going to wait, hold on. You want me to be more convenient for you and have everything drop off next Thursday?
Yeah, right. No.
No, you work for me.
No. Whose dumb idea was this?
Bezos is trying to get another super yacht? Fuck that guy.
Yeah. No. Yeah. 100% no. But I mean, but it's funny that my first like 3 thoughts about that interchange was what am I willing to barter to not have to do
how
this?
Much will I lose
to
not have to leave?
Yeah. How much can I, what is this going to cost? But I mean, it was like the above and beyond being excited that I sold the telescope finally. I've been trying to do that for a while, right? Above and beyond the fact that I'm getting this giant box that's been sitting in my family room for a month out of here. It's like, you can't imagine how happy that makes everyone in my house.
Yeah.
You know, nope, none of those things mattered to me. All I was cared about is how much inconvenience it's going to be to go to the fucking FedEx.
Well, you know, like, because not only is it the drive over there, now you're gonna have to talk to somebody.
Oh yeah, and then I got to lug this damn thing.
And then you might wait in line, and you got to park, and somebody's gonna park too close. You know, there's all these little, like, oh god, I can't.
No, 100% no, right? And then even funnier, we found out that Amazon does not ship to Costa Rica, and like literally, even my daughter.
Well, that's off my list.
Was like, what? What? Can you explain to me what you just said? Did you say Amazon will not deliver here? What? Like what?
It doesn't exist in Costa Rica?
Yeah. Oh my God. No, it is just absolutely unfathomable.
That's insane to me. That I understand how American I sound right now, but that's like,
well, that's why I'm saying this.
There's so many expats there,
right? Well, so this list is funny, but this is the reason this list is amusing to me is because, and going back to what I said at the beginning, I don't know if it makes us ultimate douchebags or really fucking evolved.
Well,
because,
the one about the American flag, where it's like we love the flag, right? Like I think that's a little nuts. I'm scared about blind nationalism. You know, it's a very real thing, and we're seeing it come to the forefront more and more.
Sure.
And people don't understand the difference between patriotism and nationalism. That's a little scary too. But like to be obsessed with an object rather than what that object should be representing
well,
is nuts to me.
I'll throw one more on the heap there.
Are you going to say the Maryland flag?
Yeah, we both live in Maryland. So like, I will tell you, brother.
They fucking love this flag, man.
I've lived in a bunch of different states, and nobody. I mean, I'll tell you, I would be willing to bet that not like 2 out of 10, maybe New Yorkers could tell you what the fucking New York.
When I moved down here, I had that conversation with somebody. I'm like, I think ours is blue.
Yeah, you couldn't tell. Yeah, you know, New Jersey.
There might be a woman on it, or hey, wait, and then I start listing other stuff. They're like, no, that's Japan.
Yeah, it's not the big dot. No, that's not us.
Feel like, is there an eagle holding a snake? No, that's Mexico.
Yeah, you're like, what the hell is going on?
Is there a bear? And
in Maryland, we put that shit on fucking everything, like boxers, socks.
It is the Frank's Red Hot of flags.
It is wacky. Yeah, sriracha.
I don't get it, man.
This is sriracha.
I do not get it.
Yeah, it is like crazy town.
Even that is so nuts. So we did the we're in a Catholic school and my older one's in 7th grade now, so next year is her last year there, and then she's got to go find a high school, right? And we're trying to figure out public school versus private school, and there's a couple of public schools we're going to try and get her into. But John Carroll was there. I have no idea who the fuck John Carroll is, right? So I'm like, how the hell is this a Catholic school? Like, that's not like, that's not St. Francis de Assisi. It's not, it doesn't sound like, and they're like, oh, he's the first archbishop in the U.S. And then he's actually buried in Baltimore in that cathedral.
Is he?
His brother signed the Declaration of Independence, and his other brother signed the U.S. Constitution. Now, I'm like, well, which part of the flag is he? Because one of them is like supported slavery.
Right.
And I'm like, which part of that flag is he?
The only reason that any of that sounds familiar is because I literally just last year, we took a field trip with my daughter to the estate house and took like an all day tour. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
and I'm sure there was fucking flags wall to wall everywhere there too.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, and as soon as you started saying that, I'm like, why do I know this story? I'm like, oh, I know exactly why I know this story.
I know it because the admissions counselor from John Carroll told me.
Yeah. No, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, so it like out in like the rural, like in Garrett County out here, right? Like, you see these people with like they'll have their truck with a flag in the back and they'll drive around with it. It's like, and I'm like sitting there going, federally, you're legally, you have to take that flag down every day. Like, that's the rules. Now,
that's what you're supposed to do. Yeah.
Right. Like, no one's going to jail for it, but like the way that the United States itself has defined the proper flag husbandry. That like, you got to take that shit down. And you got to fold it, and there's a lot of reverence to it.
It doesn't stay up at night unless there's a light on. It doesn't stay out in the rain.
Thing, right? Yeah. Right. You got this.
I was a Boy Scout.
Right. And I'm sitting there going, so you're telling me that you're the most American out of everybody here because you're doing this stuff, and meanwhile, you are actually shitting on the flag with disrespect.
It's flag code,
like,
yeah.
And flag
well,
code.
even that, you're not supposed to put it on clothing.
Right, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Unless it's a uniform, it's a military uniform. And,
so like,
it's like, God, I'm sure I had a pair of American flag boxers at one point.
Of course you did. But not only did you have a pair of American flag boxers, but you also, you had an American flag everything, right? Like, I mean, I've had the bandanas, fucking T-shirts. Like,
I bought a sleeveless hoodie.
Of course you did.
With an American flag on it because it was $6 and I thought it would piss off my parents.
Yeah, well,
I wore it to the 4th of July.
I like you a little less after knowing that you won't
hood up and everything.
My God.
So there is like a store where like I was shopping and I'm like, I'm such a dick. Why? Because I'm laughing at everything I'm picking up and other people are here shopping seriously.
Yeah, of course. Right.
I'm like, $4 camo Crocs? Yeah, I'm getting those.
Yeah. Totally. 100%. You're so fucking hilarious.
That fucking elitist. He's making fun of us.
Well, it's funny. We went to we went to Annapolis on that same trip, and there was like one of those tchotchke like souvenir stores on, and they're trying to not buy something for my daughter, and there was people looking at like the tackiest just crap, and they're like, "Oh, this is really nice." I'm like, "Oh, okay, yeah, okay, sure, whatever you say." Yeah, no.
Sadly, what they wear didn't make it to that Americanism list.
Oh yeah, no, of course, yeah. I mean, well, I guess it kind of did. Wasn't there one on there about how loud Americans are? I think that.
Yeah. Maybe we can put that
translate that into clothing as well.
Loud and proud is what they call it. So you're absolutely right.
Yeah. So like, I don't know. So the last one that I wanted to kind of like to throw out there was too many choices. So this is one that I think is actually like really important to what we talk about here most of the time, which is health, right? And the crazy things that we do for it. If I can walk into CVS and now have an entire aisle of supplements, right? And now you don't have vitamin C, vitamin D, a CoQ10. No. No.
It's you have 50 of each
You got
thing
50
from
of
50
each.
different brands.
And this one is like, okay, so this is 200 capsules at half a milligram dosage, and this one is 300 capsules and it's a milligram, and you're like, all right, but the price for this one, so now you're like,
now you got to do this mental gymnastics to just figure out what you're buying. Yeah,
correct. Now you're like, and then when you go home, you're like, oh, can you believe I got this CoQ10 today? And then you find out a week later that you bought the wrong one. It was really the other one that like, because the minimum dosing was, and so all of a sudden I'm like, okay, so this is actually giving people, this is negatively doing two things, in my opinion.
Yeah.
One, it's making people just get fatigued from decisions to the point where they don't make it.
They just don't care. Yeah.
They just don't care. Right.
But don't you think that's exactly what marketing is supposed to do for them, right? Like that, I'm going to convince you that mine's better based on the words I use, based on how the package looks, based on, and that's selling the sizzle, not the steak. I remember seeing this ad, like where they're like, and specifically talking about like the selection overload, if you will, right? And they were saying like, oh, American, what do they call it? American ingenuity, or they were talking basically like, look at how we don't copy things. And then they take you down a water aisle at the grocery store, and it's like, here's 70 bottles.
Oh yeah.
From like 4 different giant manufacturers selling you the same fucking tap water. And it's like, why did you buy the one with the waterfall on it? Oh, I like waterfalls.
I mean, I like waterfalls.
Yeah,
who doesn't like waterfalls?
Like, you got the one that's the square bottle. Why'd you get that one? Oh, it look different. It's like,
yeah.
And it's like that too many selections is very true, man.
Well, the other, the thing about the too many selections too is the next problem is that people are so confused by the choices that they don't do anything. Like now, now it's like
they don't make an action. Yeah.
Right. So then what? Like, okay, well, do I need raw organic CoQ10 or do I need synthetic CoQ10? Do I need a mix of both? Like, does it have to come from an ashram? Is it better to come from Canada? I don't like.
It's funny because that's a question patience. Like I try not to sell too many supplements in my office. I normally carry things that I know somebody can't get somewhere else. Or something that's hard to like, but like they'll be like, what brand do I get? And it's like, I don't care. And then they'll say exactly, tell me what brand to get or I won't do it.
Yeah. Right. Well, people don't want to do the research.
Just get something that's third party tested. Well, how do I know that?
Right. Well, how do you know that? Yeah, exactly. And I had this conversation with a friend who's like, yeah. How long did it take you to learn this? We were talking about something. And I said, I don't know. I've been researching this for a couple months now. She's like, a couple months? Like, she's like, listen, man, I'm happy that you get excited about this, but like, I've got a job. I've got 2 kids. I've got 4 dogs. Like I don't have fucking time to spend months researching fucking vitamin D. Like I just don't, and so she's like, all I want is somebody to tell me which fucking one to buy. And if I'm feeling particularly patient, I'll ask them why.
Yeah, I get that, but like, let's face it, most of those things that we end up doing, like, how much shit have you and I bought because the other person had it? Right? Oh, Matt likes that. Matt, I'm gonna get that. Matt likes that. It's like, right? And like, I didn't do any research. I'm like, no, he seems to get a lot out of it. I'll do it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And then like, and it's funny because like when you have friends like you and I we have different interests. So like our interests kind of Venn diagram. In some
when
cases,
that Venn diagram hits.
Yeah. But in some cases they don't. And when I'm like, you know what, I'm going to try that out. I'll give it a shot. I'm like, hey, what are you up to over there? Cause I feel like our yardsticks are for measuring like good, bad, not so good are pretty much very similar. Like, like our evaluation scale is not too terribly off from one another. But yeah, you're right. But at least I know I'm outsourcing this decision to somebody who I know has done the legwork.
And we're not just phoning it in and just going, this is fine.
Correct. And so like when I look at, I mean, my wife and kids have lived with me for as long as my kids have been alive, and my wife and I are having our 20th anniversary next year.
Oh, God bless.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Mazel Tov, whatever you want to say there.
Sure. Well, thanks. But in all that time, I don't like high fructose corn syrup, not a big fan of exogenous sugar, really not a processed food guy, really prefer it to be natural. Don't get too fussy over organic versus not, but at least like all natural. I definitely want to keep it as like close to how it came out of, wherever it came
out of the ground
from.
Or something.
Yeah, out of the ground, off a pasture, whatever. I do like to keep it good. And to this day, I will see my kids. I'm like, hey, can you get me a bottle of ketchup? And they go, they just literally, they're not even looking at the shelf. They just reach up and grab a bottle of ketchup.
I grab the red jar.
Yeah. And I'm like sitting there going, but what do? And they're like, yeah, we read the ingredients. I get it. I'm like, well, don't roll your eyes at me. I'm not trying to like punish you. I'm just saying, like, look, there's 50 bottles of ketchup here. Like, you got to have some standards, or else, like, what the fuck, because it's like one of those things. It's so easy. Like, this is a great example, right? Like, there's so much ketchup, people just grab a bottle. Meanwhile, ketchup is the easiest thing in the world to swap out for a better version of it.
A better version,
has zero impact on your original experience. Zero.
Yeah.
The Heinz all natural. The only difference there is it replaces high fructose corn syrup with cane sugar. So I'm like, dude, that's an instantly better food in my opinion, and it only cost me the amount of time to read the label to realize
to pick up that one versus the other one. Yeah,
correct. Like, that's it. It didn't take that much time, but because we have so many, I am like, what do you think that is? 1 in 1,000, 1 in 10,000? Like, I mean, I don't think most people at the grocery store are looking.
No, and if they're trying to save money, they're going, what coupon do I have in my hand? What,
correct.
And that's it. It doesn't become a what's better for me kind of question.
Oh no, absolutely. So anyway, thanks as always. Thanks for
this was a fun topic there. A little dive into some wacky sociology there.
Well, it's so funny. We always get like really tied up with the physical health stuff. And I think the more you and I kind of dive into these conversations, the more at least I'm realizing, like, you do really have to kind of pull up all boats, with the tide, because you can't really just focus on one or the other, right?
Well, yeah, you can't always just focus on the individual, because cultural health is important too. How we treat each other, how we interact is a big thing, because that's how we take care of each other too, Anyway,
so
it sounds like we're wrapping up.
Yeah.
You're gonna ask me the question that we always ask.
Yeah. What are you getting into?
So, man, this is the first time that I showed you a device where you actually went, hey, man, did you see the warning label?
Oh.
I sent an email to a professor. He actually teaches at a college in Canada. And he sent me back something. I was trying to get him on the show. He's like, he's out there, and I think I scared him a little. But there's this device called the Shiva device. And it is an adaptation of something called the God helmet.
Weren't we supposed to build one of these for a show? Like,
I'm probably going to buy one, because right now I'm reading one of his 3 books.
Okay.
On the subject is called neurotheology.
That's fascinating. We've actually I don't know if we've done this on the show, but we've talked about like those kind of concepts before.
I did not know it had a field of study. But basically, the guy that made the God helmet coined that term. This guy studied under that guy.
Oh, interesting.
And has continued research. And right now I'm reading a book, and the first section is all near-death experience.
Yeah.
And it is fascinating how he aligns the, hey, you died, from different cultures. And it is so cool, man. It is so, like, there's common themes regardless of religious upbringing, regardless of background, when people come back to what they say. And it's got me all nerding out on some really psycho-spiritual craziness.
Oh, yeah. Well, I want to hear more about that. I mean, wasn't that thing though, and I did a quick search to see if I could figure out where I'd seen that, but
it's like an old like Windows 95 website.
Yeah, but didn't the weren't the warnings like could cause psychosis or something? I mean, it was crazy. It was
yeah,
not.
But they say that about psychedelics too. Like if I was gonna have a break, I'd have a break already. You know.
I guess well, listen. I mean,
You don't want to put a large electromagnetic frequency across your brain. It's like erasing VHS tapes.
Yeah, right. Like why? Yeah, why wouldn't I want to do that? That sounds like exactly like I'd want to do, right? Well, it's funny because you might this might be good timing. I was going to tell you about our chair friend's newest toy. That is. Have you seen this thing? Did he talk to you about this?
I did it.
The chair, the chair, or the new thing, the rewiring, re-electricaling yourself.
No, the Brian's.
Yeah, the chair
device. Yeah, I went the day before you did.
No, I know that. What I'm saying, have you played with his new thing?
Was that the ball that he had?
So I think it is the ball, but he's now got it almost done, and he basically.
Jesus, why didn't he tell me?
I just saw him.
Oh, you saw him last night.
Yeah. So. But this thing basically re-electrifies your cells, like essentially, like what is the short version, right? And there's he went on about it, like, and I was not, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way. I mean it like he elaborated on it, I should say. And man, this thing sounds cool as shit. And so, we could talk offline or even have him on to talk about it one time because I know
we definitely should.
But this thing essentially, I mean, he had a case study where it just, the body of the person who they were putting on just literally got rid of scars, like just went away. Like, is he, and I said,
I wonder if he'll let us go to his place and record one there.
Oh no, I think he's already kind of given the nod to that. So yeah, for sure.
Maybe we should pull the trigger on that one. Cause I gotta say the bed itself was
the bed was amazing. Like
massively upgraded from where he started.
Massively upgraded, but like I want one of those chairs, but like Jesus, they're a little. They're about $110,000 out of my price range.
They're quite honestly most medium income homes in Middle America.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, it's too much. Well, I mean, but it's not too much if you had a clinic, like if you were going to put
I could totally see that working well in my space. I mean,
like you can monetize that, and like then that money isn't like a crazy expenditure because people are but yeah, so it seems like the science is gotten to a point with that guy that the shit that they're coming out with is crazy. And by the way, the price point of this one is like $10K. So now
that is like, then that's almost like, can I get one of those for my office right now?
Correct.
Can we do
now
that?
You're like, okay, so
I can finance that pretty quickly. Yeah.
Right. Now, and you're like, huh. And I guess how many people are doing that modality of treatment? Zero.
I mean, when he was telling me about it, then he tells me it plugs into the other device. I went, like, do you just like transcend there? Is that?
Yeah, I mean, is that where you become the singularity at that point? Is that it?
Does my body just turn into energy and then I disappear?
I glow. Yeah. I literally levitate and glow. That's what happens at that point. Oh man. But yeah, anyway, we should do an episode there, but
I think we always have a good time talking to him, man.
What if you had the God helmet on while sitting in the chair?
The original, I never saw the remake of Flatliners.
Yeah.
But I'd imagine.
Yeah, that would probably tip you over.
I would probably bring something back with me.
Yeah. No, that's funny. Cool, man. Well,
oh man, this is fun.
Good. Glad we got it back and rolling.
Yeah.
And let's bid adieu, and we'll talk soon.
Yeah, man.
All right. Take care.
Be subversive, irreverent. Health is wealth, but you knew that.
Everybody knows that.
But so is following us on social media at Irreverent Health. And check out our website for more exclusive content at irreverenthealth.com.
Oh, I like this.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of Irreverent Health.